And good morning, Space Engineers. This is Mr. Kassarian, and welcome to another episode of my Let's Play series, Episode 3. So I promised you guys we'd start working on a small ship today, but we have some things that I want to get done first. Namely, I'm breaking apart this damaged ship that's sitting inside the asteroid. Alright, so this also gives you an idea about how I break these ships down. I'm very methodical when I do this. I tend to work from one side unless I see something I specifically want to pick off the ship. Like, for example, those gyros or that sort of thing. I tend to work from the back, i.e. the side the landing gear aren't on, and then work forward from there. Alright, so the landing gear tethers this thing in. There's nothing worse than trying to work on a ship that's spinning around. The next thing I tend to do is I try and avoid letting anything fly off, right? So you can see here I actually moved across that middle block because I wanted specifically to take out this block, because believe it or not, this block is not actually connected to that cargo container. Only this block is. If I had removed those blocks without coming over here first, I would have been in a bit of trouble. Alright? Alright. So we're just going to break this thing down. We should have that. Oh, suit energy is low. Low, low, low. Alright, so let's come over here. You guys can see I finished up the landing deck. Downstairs has not yet been finished yet, but that's alright. So you can also see, presently my refinery is working with some uranium. I have a bunch of crap stored up here. A lot of thruster components. Basically, this is what happens when you rip apart a ship, you know? You have a lot of components, a lot of stuff. What I've also been doing, let me see if I can do this here. Let's sync a little bit. Open up this guy. Yes, I've been reprocessing most of the thruster components I've been getting, simply because I don't honestly need them. You know, so large ship thrusters produce a lot of thruster components. Whereas their small ship versions, make sure this is empty, don't. Small ship versions, the small ship thruster components, engines, thrusters, take one thruster component, and the large ones take 15. The large ones, especially the large ship, large thrusters, have something silly like a couple hundred in them. So I've just been breaking them down into component bits for right now. I'm not even worrying about them. Alright, so this ship here, you can see, alright, so these thrusters aren't actually connected to anything. They're connected to this scaffolding over here. So we're going to take off all of the scaffolding before we get into the rest of the ship. Alright? But what I've also done is up here, I put a connector. And that's just letting me access my inventory from the top deck, so I don't have to run all the way downstairs every time I want to do something. So let's get some more of these, some more of these. We got another display for us. We got some motors. We got some more small steel tubes. And what I intend to do after Alright, we can start over here. What I intend to do immediately after 80 in a small thruster, alright, for a large ship. A large ship's small thruster is at 80. So there's no real reason for us to keep all that stuff around. Especially when we can break it down into materials that we actually can use for other components. Yes, I could keep them all around to build large ship thrusters and that sort of thing, but honestly, I'm not even close to building a large ship. And the most I may be doing, I also have that boat over there that I can break down. I'm not really planning on breaking her down, if that makes sense. I'm planning on modifying her. And basically making her into a ship that I can use. So all I just come do is I come over here, I open up this thing, I drop the thruster components into the assembler, production, disassemble all. Alright. Then I come back over to here, I open up this thing, and I drop off everything else into here. Because most of that stuff we're actually going to need. Now the only thing I don't have a lot of are actually reactor components, and that's simply a matter of this ship only had 2 small reactors on her. But that's not a huge big deal. You know, we can produce more reactor components, especially with all the stuff we're getting just from breaking down this ship. Alright, and then scrapping all of our other components. What I might do, so there are kind of like 2 tiers of common components. There's the common components, and then there's the stuff that's like construction components, steel plates, that sort of stuff. interior plates. And then there's the sort of specialist stuff, the stuff that goes in 1 or 2 blocks, like thruster components, medical components, detector components, communications components, that sort of thing. That stuff's pretty single use, and that stuff I tend to break down past a certain amount. Simply because it's not something I really need to keep around. It's not something that, I can't build, and I'm not using them frequently enough to actually want to save time not building them. Let's drop off some more of these. And the other issue I'm going to run into today is that I don't have an assembler down here yet. And I want to get this large ship going before I build an assembler down here. And I'm kind of torn between moving my assembler on that ship, which I think is actually what I'm going to do, versus building a new one. I think I'm just going to move the one that's on the rescue ship. Simply because it's I have plans just to turn the rescue ship into kind of a construction support vessel, and mining hauler, basically. And I don't really need, I don't need the assembler on there to do mining support. I'll probably add one back on, so that I can also do salvage support from her. But I don't really need it right off the bat, So break that down, we'll break that down. And this is also serving another important sort of feature for me, in that it's actually letting me kind of get a good feel for these binding transports before I actually start modifying that one over there. And I'm not entirely certain how I'm going to modify it yet. Well, I have an idea, but that'll probably be in a future episode where I actually go off and do that. Alright, let's reorient. You guys can see I added some of those reflector lights to the platform. Let me show you a quick trick before we actually get started here. By which I mean before I insert a jump cut and start, Oh, right, we're over here. Before I insert a jump cut and finish tearing that ship apart. Alright, so let's put this in here, this can go in here, this can go in here, this can go in here. Alright, so let me show you a quick trick. If you notice, let's actually get, what is it, construction component, I think? I think it was just a construction component. Yes, just one. Okay, so let's put it over here. Alright, so these are pretty cheap interior lights, right? And let me show you something cool. So this will be the last one I added. Alright, just a quick note. The last interior light you add is always going to be the last one on your control panel over here. So let's open up our control panel. Interior light 7. I can adjust everything, including radius, fall off, intensity. I'm just going to boost the radius up to 5. Alright, so now if I get back out, and I fly up top again, you guys can see the radius on that interior light is actually much wider than it would be otherwise. Alright, so just keep that in mind. You don't need to have 1,000,000,001 interior lights all around your ship. You really only need just a couple, like maybe 1 or 2. That's what I tend to go with. Not 1 or 2, but just a couple per room. You don't need 1.5 billion. This isn't Minecraft, and we're not placing torches every 2 feet. Well, every 3 meters, 4 meters. Alright, so we're just going to tear this apart. I'll be back in a few minutes once we're done with this binding ship. Alright guys, we are almost all done with our breakdown process, but I think it's time for us to get started on our actual ship. So here's what we're going to do. Alright, first things first, we're going to get this up. Let's get 100 of these. I should need, like, let's say 16 of these. And let's get another 100 of these. And 100 of those. Anything else I need just to block it? I don't think so. Alright. So let's get started, shall we? Alright. So the first thing we're going to want to do is right up here. Let's put down a light armor block. Alright. Put some other ones. Do I want to do it this way? I'll have to be flying the whole time I do this. Yeah, let's do it this way. Alright, so I'm placing down these light armor blocks, alright? These light armor blocks exist just to be scaffolding for me. Just so I have a work platform to be on. So, let's drop down here. Let's cut this one out, that one out, and that one out. Alright. So now, let's go G. New small ship. Alright. And let's rotate it. Like that. Okay. Now the first block we're going to put down is going to be a medium cargo container. And you can only, excuse me, you can only put these down on small ships. Alright? So let's go home, like that. Oh, do we want it there? Because then I can't do that with the that and the that. Oh, gosh. Alright, let's change that up. Let's put down a cockpit, maybe? Like that, okay. And then we can also remove this block later. So let's not worry about it. Then we're going to put down our medium cargo container. And we're going to rotate it. Alright, we're going to rotate it like this. Alright, so we have the small block facing out. Alright. And I actually want to get this done enough that I can... Here, you know what we're also going to do? I'm going to go into here and put down a light armor slope. Just so I have something to, you know, ramp. Why not a ramp? Alright, let's see. Because I want this actually done. So let's go 4 computers, 6 motors, and 1 display. Four computers, 6 motors, and 1 display. Alright, that way I can just see where the ports are actually sitting on this thing. And I don't need the motors or display, but I'd rather have them than not. Alright, so then we're going to get out, you guys will see why I'm doing all this, some small curved tubes, some of these, and some small conveyors. Alright, and let's go with 9. And then, nah, because we need to go out 1 block, right. So we'll go out 1 block. Alright, so we're out 1 block now. And then we're going to rotate it forward. Alright. Well, are we? Because we're going to have the this, and the that, and the this, and the... Yeah, let's do it this way. Alright, so let's go delete, 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 delete. Insert. There we go. Okay, and then we're going to come forward. Delete. And want to put a small conveyor here. Right? Right. And then we're going to get out our drill. And now we're going to have to fly. Alright, so we're going to fly here. Yeah, I need to come out a couple more. 2 more. And sometimes your ship will not be as compact as you want it. But don't worry about it. You know, it's just part of the construction process, I guess. Okay, so let's fly. And then we're going to want to come back. Let's see, where are you in relative? Alright, so we're going to put our small conveyor here. Shift it. Alright, now this is where things get a little fun, because you need to build a little bit of scaffold out forward of this. Just because of the way this is working. So let's go home. And then once these are in place, you can actually have a bit of an easier time with it. Alright, so let's get it. Forward a block doesn't want to go to. Like that. Alright. And then we can just, let's remove that. Oops. Alright, so that's not going to work on that side anymore. Our ship's getting a little big for that. And then you can take out this scaffolding. Nice and easily. Except that actually placed further forward than I wanted it. Alright, so let's get back down here. There we go. Much better. And we're actually going to leave that light armor block in place. Alright. So that's in place. That's our first set of drills. Alright. So we come out 1, 2, 3. So we come 3 out, and then we turn. Okay. So let's turn off our jetpack. Let's go out to here. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to turn it. And then we come out, let's see, 1, 2, 3, and then a conveyor. One, 2, 3. Small conveyor. I'm going to put down our scaffolding again. We're going to come up. We're going to come down. We're going to remove 2 of these. There we go. Alright, so that's the actual drilling part we have done. Alright, that's not too bad. We have the actual drills done. Okay, so now let's get into some of our thrusters. Now this isn't going to be too difficult to do, I don't think. Alright, so let's go into here. Let's get our small thrusters. And I basically want 3 facing to each side. Alright, so, let's see. If I go out here, that's going to put them a little bit over. But if I go into here, right, if I come down here, I can go like this. Yeah. Or we put them back here, maybe. No, better design. 1. And let's crouch. 2, 3. Remember, we want these things to be fairly compact. Alright, so then we go 1, 2, 3. Alright, so now we have our lateral thruster control. Alright, and we still need our forward thruster control. So let's swing ourselves around. Let's come down a little bit. Now can I... Ooh. Right. Okay, so I can... I need them to be clear. So I could go 1, 2, and then 3 down below. 1, 2, and then... Ooh, that landing gear's in the way. Where I want it to be. Well, we have a 1 block space above, so we'll go 1, 2, 3. Alright, so I'm trying to fit everything into the same profile as these drills. Alright, and that's not the easiest thing to do. Alright, so that's in place, and I'm hoping these drills are close enough together that I'll be able to mine just straight in, but I think I screwed it up. I think I want them in 1 more block. So let me fix that up and I'll be right back. And we are back, guys. Alright, so you can see we have most of a ship. Now, she's a little zippy at this point. Alright, and you see what I mean by she's a little bit on the twitchy side for my taste. But that's alright for me. You know, it's a little twitchy, but it could be worse. She has 4 thrusters in every direction except for forwards. Alright, so she doesn't exactly stop on a dime here, especially with those 2 large thrusters behind her pushing her forwards. However, we were kind of limited. Let me make sure this isn't getting damaged anywhere. Alright, that's fine, you're fine, and you're fine. Alright. The reason for that is actually because I had a hell of a time figuring out where those thrusters were going to go. It just wasn't working out right. And some of the thrusters need to be redone. These ones actually have to be pushed forward 1. Okay? Because you can see there's going to be armor block here. And thrusters damage a 3x3x4, basically. 3x3x4, 3x3x5, something like that, in front of them. So you have the center block and then one around in every direction. All right, starting the block in front of the nozzle. So this block here is fine. This block wouldn't be. All right. So it's been a hell of a time figuring out where to get those thrusters put so they wouldn't damage anything. But I think we finally figured it out, kind of. All right, so let's take this baby for a spin. Now, you guys are probably wondering why I'm using heavy armor blocks. That's actually because I'm trying to increase her mass. All right, I'm trying to make her heavier than she is right now. Why? Well, one, I want her to be more protected, because this is a mining ship. You know, she is going to be in and around places where she could be bumping into things, she could be getting run into by rocks, she could be getting run into asteroids because I'm a bad pilot. You name it, it could happen. All right? So I'm trying to armor her as best as I can, okay? And I'm also trying to keep her inside the profile of these drills. I think I've done a pretty decent job at, actually. So that way I won't be in too much trouble, basically. I know I'm going to be able to mine stuff out. I know I'm going to be in range of stuff, that sort of thing. Let's also put another... My ore detector fell off as I was moving crap around in there, so... do you have an attachable block? Not on that side. Do you over here? No. So you'd have to be put, like, here? Ugh. I don't want to put it there. Let's shove it back here. How about there? That's nice and protected, right? Maybe. Okay, so a lot of this has been, and looking back on it, I have a lot of dead space in this design, right? Like, I put the gyros where the gyros are, which is here, here, and same on the other side, with the hope that, you know, that's kind of dead space, right? Because I'm going to have to bring some armor panel back down from here and then around it. But then I realized, you know, yeah, like these thrusters are going to have to come out one, right? To fit inside the armor block. And these things mine out like one block over here, like over to here, I think. So we should be fine where we are now. I think basically the area where I can't place anything is where they can mine out. So I'm going to have to move out these thrusters by one, these side-facing thrusters. Or shift them back, or put them back here, or something like that. And I may also add a drill onto this port, and a drill onto the port on the other side, just to give you some more working room. If I do that, I have a lot of dead space in here that I may end up trying to switch over. Right now I'm using a large reactor in here, but I may try and switch over to a multitude of small reactors, just to see if I can make this thing a little bit shorter and a little bit less finicky, let's say. Alright, so let's actually take her back inside, shall we? And she actually has some pretty good acceleration characteristics. Yeah, she's actually, her handling's pretty nice, and her visibility isn't bad. Let's say her visibility isn't bad. Alright, it's not great because I have all the drills around here, and try to figure out where the top of your ship is when you're actually, like, working with this stuff is kind of a pain in the rear end. Alright, so, let's take her... Let's take her down here. Alright, is that a bit... Oh, right. I also should assign this. There we go. Now... Alright, so... They're kind of spinning against each other. Kind of. Sort of, not really. But let's start drilling, shall we? Now, she is going to pop off some bits. Like, this isn't a perfect, you know... The drills aren't perfect, they're going to pop off some bits, but hopefully... we're going to actually collect most of what we're gathering here. She does have a bit of a blind spot in the middle there. So we have to be careful about that. So let's back her off a little. That did us pretty well, though. Let's take a look. Yeah, that did us pretty darn well. Look at that. We mined all the way straight through there. Look at that. That's not half bad, is it? And we could just pick up all these extraneous bits, because we're mining inside a gravity well, so... We can just pick up all the little bits that popped off. But this makes mining a little bit easier. It's a little bit less of a pain in the rear end. And it's also significantly... I should turn off autosave. I keep meaning to, and I keep forgetting. Alright, so let's see how much ore we collect. And then let's see... Let's see how much ore we got in here, and how much ore we have in our cargo container. Which we can access right through here. Okay, so we have 4 and 11 and like 6 point something thousand. Okay. So yeah, I think this baby's a little effective. Alright. I think she's just a little bit effective. And let's go into here too, and while we're in here, let's turn our spotlights. Let's get their radius up maximum. There we go. And it's still a little dark down here, but let's zoom out. Let's twist her around. Okay. So if I go back to view mode, you guys can see just how quickly she just eats through this stuff. I mean, it's not even, you know... She's just chewing through this. And by the way, rocking her around is a really good way of making sure that her drills are still running properly. So let's pull it back a little bit. Let's take a look at what we did. Wow. That's a lot of stuff there. And we're not losing a lot of it either. Alright? Not at all. Now, if you notice, she has those, that connector on the bottom, the large type connector. Now, the reason for that, is because that large type connector, ore can move through small type tubes, which you can see on the front. There are 2 types of conveyors, small and large. And ore can move through small ones and large ones. I think metals can as well, like ingots, that sort of stuff. The reason I'm using the large type ones on this baby is because, holy bejesus, alright. The reason I'm using the large type ones is quite simply because they're faster to drop. They can drop more stuff at once, basically. The large connectors can drop more stuff at the same time. And I don't have anything to actually catch it if I start dropping stuff off yet. But we will do something related to that. Actually, we do have something that can catch, but it's kind of difficult because it's only in kind of a 1x1 zone right now, and it's going to be kind of a pain in the rear end to work with it. So let me just pick up some of this stuff. And of course, I'm running out of time here, and I'm picking up bits of ore as I work. Let's get that. But you guys can see, she does drop some stuff, but the ratio of what she drops to what she picks up is really quite good. You know, it's certainly better than just dropping everything, you know, and even with my Cheaty McCheat Cheat Logitech mouse, I can still, you know, she still picks up way more than I do, even though I have, you know, I basically am holding T anytime I mine. Oh god, it's hard to get this stuff. I have to pull a ship over here and pick some of this crap up. Yes, so this should also give you guys an idea as to what I'm going to be doing with my next build, which is going to be modifying our rescue ship. Alright? Because though our rescue ship is nice, yeah. Alright, so let's see. Well, let's first drop off all the construction materials we still have on us. And then we will wrap up this episode. There we go. We have over 1.32 in our inventory, and what do we have inside the mining ship itself? Oh yeah, and we don't have any landing gear on it yet. Alright, so we got that. So we got 1.6, and then we got more than we can carry. That's pretty nice, guys. That is pretty darn nice. And I can just drop this stuff off. It's going to automatically go into there. So I'm going to have to add some landing gear. I'm going to have to add some more drill thingy-majiggers. I'm going to have to add a lot more stuff to this thing. In the next... Probably in this episode... In between this episode and next episode, I'll get the... kind of those basic things that I forgot to put on. And I may end up rebuilding her. Probably not this episode. Probably not the next one. probably some point in the future I'll rebuild her and do things a little bit differently. And the other thing I have to do for now is I have to put the armor pack in. Oh, right, I dropped all my steel plates. And that's something I'm going to work on. The main thing I'm going to have to do here is just armor this whole thing over, move some of these thrusters around so that they make sense. The other thing that's going to happen is the more mass she has, the less she's going to rattle around when I'm running those drills. So that's the other reason I'm using heavy armor. What I'm doing is just to fill in the dead space, I'm just using light armor blocks because you can see that right here. Light armor, light armor. That's still heavy armor, but that's okay. And I'm just using that to fill in some space. Because, yes, I want to increase her mass. I don't want to really increase it by that much. Right. Okay, so this has been Mr. Kassarian. I want to thank you guys for watching. As always, if you liked my episode, please give me a comment, maybe even a subscription. Give me a like, give me a follow. You know, just let me know you guys are out there, you know. I do this for you guys. You know, this isn't... I don't get paid big bucks. I actually get paid more, by which I mean something, at my other jobs. So, let me know you're out there. I do it for you guys. I do it so you guys thought something to watch, and because I enjoy it. Alright, as always, gents. Ladies and gents, I guess. I'm not being sexist, I swear. Happy mining.